While the country was silent, quiet, waiting for the breaking news from President William Ruto yesterday on the 15th of October 2025 on the demise of one Honorable the Enigma Odinga, President William Ruto was in the State House signing 8 bills into law. Some of those bills have concerns about the human rights here in Kenya. Some of them are rumored to have violated the Constitution of Kenya, and it's a reason why he had to use the death of Right Honorable Odinga to assert these bills into law. My name is Nderu. Let us dive into these laws. Number 1 is a law known as the National Land Commission Amendment Bill of 2023. And this one gives and restore the mandate to the National Land Commission to review the historical land allocation and address all the injustices. If you can remember, this is the work that was done by a committee known as the Ndungu Committee that gave a report that is known as the Ndungu Report. And this is what the National Land Commission needs to do. They need to ensure that they address all those injustices. Number 2 in this line is that the National Land Commission Amendment Bill of 2023 also introduces the safeguards on how these files can be opened. Any file needs to be open right now, and it needs to be closed within 5 years, and that mandate cannot go past 5 years, because if we extend more than that 5 years, then these files will never be closed. The mandate to extend that 5-year period can only be done through Parliament. Number 2 is the Land Amendment Bill of 2024, and this one comes to deal with the Land Act, the Land Registration Act, and all the other acts of Parliament that affects the land disposition here in the country. It also introduces what we call the Land Administration Rules. It gives the mandate to the regulations, to the regulator, to do what we call the assessment of leasehold properties, to ensure that the government is making more from the re-evaluation of all the leasehold properties here in Kenya. And these need to ensure that the property owners are informed and they know what is going on. Number 3 is a bill that is known as the Wildlife Conservancy. It's called the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill of 2023, and this one comes to strengthen the control over the conservation areas and possibly to introduce new penalties for people who violate this law. And this one will come to affect the communities that live around the conservancy and the community around the forest and protected areas. Therefore, this is a law that we need to look at and how it will come to affect those communities that are around the conservancy and the protected area. Number 4, and the most important law that was signed into law yesterday, is the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Amendment Bill of 2024. This one introduces new offenses, and to all people who are using social media, this is a law that you need to be interested in, because it introduces and expands the definition of new offenses and the older offenses, and it ensures that it introduces hefty fines and hefty imprisonment for people who violate this law. For just posting something that will not go right with the government, you will pay 20 million Kenya shillings, or you will go in for imprisonment for 10 years. Therefore, this one needs to be challenged, because it affects Article 31, and it comes to affect the rights to privacy, rights to expression, and freedom of expression here in Kenya. Number 5 is what we call the National Police Service Commission Amendment Bill. This one is just on the structure, the oversight, the National Police Service Commission, NPS, and how they will do their recruitment, and how they will proceed with their functions. Number 6 is what we call the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Bill of 2025, and this one introduces new charges to all the passengers, and it gives how this money, the proceeds, will be used, and how the proceed will be allocated to various bodies here in Kenya, ensuring that there is no duplication in law and duplication in roles in terms of the air passenger service charge. Number 7, and the most important to all the Gen Zs and millennial, is something we call the virtual asset Service Provider Bill of 2025. This one gives the mandate to the Central Bank of Kenya to regulate, license, and give authority to people who want to have their stable coin and any other virtual assets here in Kenya. So if you are dealing with cryptocurrencies, if you are dealing with stable coins, if you are dealing with any virtual service provider services here in Kenya, then you need to get a license from the Central Bank of Kenya, and they need to define the parameters on how you will get those services. Number 8, and the most important one, is the Privatization Bill of 2025. And this one comes to replace the existing privatization laws, the regime, and gives the more structured way of doing the privatization here in Kenya. It gives the mandate to the cabinet secretary to list all the parastatals that might go through the privatization, and the privatization authority is established. Oversight mechanisms are defined and given the process, consultation, and the regulation of how that process will look like. My name is Neru. For this and more, continue following us.